street violence and public safety on all of our minds, clubs and bars across the country are rolling out digital ID scanners, promising increased security. But for the venues installing these machines, your safety may not be their main concern.
If you enjoy the occasional night on the town, then handing over photo ID on your way into a venue is probably second nature. But gone are the days of a bouncer glancing at your licence and maybe asking your star sign. Now you can expect your ID card will be scanned, digitised and electronically stored. ID scanners make it easier to spot fake IDs, as well as letting management share information about troublemakers with police and other venues. And with increasing concern about alcohol-related violence, a lot of people are happy to try any measure to improve safety, including New South Wales Premier Barry O'Farrell. But is safety just a pretext? The machines are often promoted to venues as marketing and data collection tools, offering detailed information about clients. One firm boasts facial recognition software to match ID photos with Facebook profiles.
Pubs and clubs have a responsibility to make sure that they keep this information secure and protected from mishandling.
Not every firm values marketing over privacy.
This technology is very beneficial for patron safety. It's important to note at Scantech we only collect people's information with their permission.
But in practice, it's virtually impossible for patrons to tell which company they're giving their photos, addresses, and even fingerprints to. So how much of your personal data are you willing to exchange for a drink or two?
Dr. Katina Michael is on the board of the Australian Privacy Foundation. Katina, if these machines are going to make us safer, is it not worth giving up a little bit of privacy?
Well, I think it's a total fallacy that these machines actually make us safer. They're actually very invasive, and we're sleepwalking into an age of uberveillance, that is total surveillance. And I think what we have to think about is when we give up some of our privacy, whether it's really worth it or not.
I won't deny uberveillance scares me, it really does, Katina. And what about identity theft? I mean, the more companies have got my details, the more chance they have of frauding me, yeah?
Definitely. The digital trails that we leave behind everywhere could come back to haunt us. Hackers can have access to them, and we really don't know where this data, this digital data, is being stored. Is it being stored off-site, offshore? Who are the data custodians, and do we really own our own personal data like our fingerprints if we give it away?
Well, it's throwing up red flags all over the shop. Katina, surely people, when they're going into a nightclub, can say, well, look, I just don't want you to take my fingerprints and I don't want you to scan my licence, but you should let me in anyway because I really like Maduri shakers.
Definitely. And I think we need to say no, citizens. If the regulators in Australia are not enforcing the laws that we have created, then citizens need to say no, and they need to ask for alternative means of entering the club, pub or venue. And I should be able to go and have a beer or go and see some friends at a venue without having to give my fingerprints away and being treated like a criminal, really.
Katina, if Charlie comes into my bar and asks for a Maduri shaker, I'm kicking him out. I don't care what you're saying.
Look, you make one mistake on a Maduri shaker and all of a sudden everyone holds it against you.
Katina, I didn't know you could say no. I went to a nightclub last weekend for the first time in 10 years and I gave over my fingerprint and I gave over my driver's licence. Am I doomed?
You're not doomed. What I think you should do, though, is write a letter to the pub or club or venue and say, where are you actually storing my data and how are you securing my data?
It sounds like a great idea, although that would require Kara remembering the names and addresses of the clubs that she visited on that particular night out.
Thanks for your time, Katina.
Thanks very much, guys.
You're giving your info to the government or to police, you're giving it to nightclubs, you know, and they've never been involved in anything, you know, dodgy. But
Well, you're saying this like you're protesting. You're the one that went out and did it.
I know, but now that I realise
It was a
this...
Hans party, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're not going into my night out. We're talking
But there's no what safety benefit does it add? Like your fingerprints, what does that do to make a nightclub safe?
I guess then they, they can track people, dodgy people across the night if they're going from venue to
There doesn't
venue.
seem to be any compelling evidence, actually, for doing it. Like, everything we've read about it today doesn't suggest that there's any compelling evidence whatsoever other than to make the life of the nightclubs a little bit easier.
But nightclub operators are always very trustworthy, so you could...
Absolutely.
Well, let's see what our viewing public think of that. We ran a web poll today. Do you trust nightclubs with your personal information? 5% said yes, 63% said no, and 32% said why not? Everybody else has it. Just admit defeat. Plenty more to come. We'll be back after this.